May I now invite Mr. Vishnu Jaju, Managing Director, Shriji Polymers Limited, to escort Mr. Anand Sen, Managing Director, Tata International Limited, for a fireside chat.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is really going to be a very great session with Mr. Anand Sen, as this is termed as a fireside chat. So before we do that, I would just request Dr. Rinku Joshi, Director, Delhi College Business School, for a floral welcome of our guest, and Mr. Sanjay Soni, Head Operations for John Deere, to present the memento to the guest. Thank you so much. I would request now the AV team to play AV introduction of Mr. Sen, please.
Mr. Anand Sen. Anand Sen is the Managing Director of Tata International Limited. Mr. Sen is an engineer from IIT Kharagpur and holds a postgraduate diploma in business management from IIM Kolkata. He also has an executive MBA degree from CEDE at INSEAD, France. Prior to joining Tata International, he served at Tata Steel in various capacities for over 35 years. Anand Sen has served as chairman of several Tata companies. He has also been a board member of many organizations. He has served as chairman of the Indian chapter of Association of Iron and Steel Technology, represented India in the Manufacturing Working Group under the BRICS Business Council, and currently co-chairs the CII, National Committee of Steel and Department of Industrial Policies and Promotion. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Anand Sen.
So may I request now Mr. Sen to please address the gathering. Thank you.
Mr. Akhilesh Rathi, Mr. Praveen Agarwal, my host, Mr. Jaju, all the dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. You know, every time one of the speakers came in before me, my speech got a little shorter because I think the last person who speaks tomorrow will have very little to say because all of it would have been said. It's amazing how commonality of thought streams are. I must thank also Air India for getting me here on time, because I was worried that I would be late for the session, because the morning session was really enlightening and enriching. And it was great to hear such stories of people, their life journey and so on. And I was reflecting to myself that, what would I talk about? And I realized that it's best to confess up front that my life is unremarkable and ordinary as it can be, and I don't have personal narratives to give you at this point in time. So I said that I will take this opportunity to see how to put my grouse to you and understand what you can do about it. My grouse is very simple. There is this perpetual India story, the year of India, the decade of India, and things are booming and things are glowing and so on and so forth. But somehow we just don't seem to get there. So I thought that I should avoid pontificating, but I should sort of provoke some thoughts for you to think in your time and see what you can do about it. Because this is the moment where we transfer ownership, where we all must say that we are responsible. You are responsible. Each one of us is responsible for this either happening or not happening. There is this reluctance to take leadership. The world is waiting for us, and they are waiting and they are waiting, So are we reluctant? Are we not able to? Are we not able to find our way down the path? Or what is it? It is high time that we bite the bullet and take actions that lead us there. Today, if I look at all of you, we have various segments of people. So what does this highest GDP in the world, China becoming less sort of a lot of OEMs wanting to diversify out of China and Vietnam, and India being a preferred destination, us, the brand India rising in quality, but not enough to be up there with the best, and so on. We have got established corporates represented in this room. For them, it is probably time to reflect on how do we expand reach and how do we change the status quo, because most traditional organizations, and I have, as you have seen, worked in one of those, and some other time I could share a story of transformation of Tata Steel. But this is probably true in most companies, that when suddenly opportunity beckons, we find ourselves inadequate. We find that some of our processes and systems are inadequate. Some of our capabilities are not up to the mark. So how do we come up, refurbish ourselves? And this has a huge drag. It requires a lot of management will for us to do this. So this is, I think, the central theme as far as established corporates are concerned. Then there are the MSMEs. Firstly, I want to say that while it's good to get support from all avenues, but if we live in the cocoon of comfort that the government provides in the form of subsidies and rules and regulations, we would not be a true business enterprise. We need to be able to stand on our own, to have our own dreams and aspirations. I think that MSMEs need to focus on building their brands. Because obviously they have come from a small space, they occupy a small market, and it is difficult to make enough noise to be visible, and then growth will follow. Of course, MSMEs also, if they have to take advantage of the circumstances, they need to build an investment war chest. Often, when growth opportunities come, we are not able to take advantage of it quick enough. So more about that as we go along. We have in the room representatives from new startups. New startups need insight. They need to understand how do you break the traditional supply chain. There is a traditional supply chain, and the whole concept of a startup is how do I break that supply chain? How do I bring the whole industry cost point to a different level of operation? How do I replicate the ability to increase the productivity of the industry versus what is the norm, whatever 100 becoming 101 or 102? No, how to make it 150 and 180 and so on. And finally, there are those of you who are still students and watching this space very, very carefully with a smirk and smile on your faces. But remember, tomorrow you'll be part of this system, you'll be part of this grind. Well, you're in a very good space, and I can tell you a lot of us in this hall who are plus 40, I would say, or plus 50, didn't have the opportunities that you have today. You got very high-paying opportunities. You don't have to sacrifice to work for an NGO. You can do great work for an NGO or a startup and also be rich. And that is a fantastic place to be. Don't let that opportunity go. You also have, we discussed, I think, Mr. Sanjay Agarwal, right? He mentioned about dearth of new skills. There are new white spaces in the skill matrix that the world needs, India needs. And there is a huge shortage in that area. If you can identify such areas and work yourself into an area of specialization, you can be king or queen, and that is not very difficult. So what will enhance the likelihood of success? I have, one can talk long about it, but I thought there are 3 or 4 simple points I'll leave with you to think about. The first is aspiration setting. Indians, by nature, by culture, because of our humility and incremental thinking, our aspirations we set as very low. And then, we are not material enough, relevant enough, impactful enough. How to set an aspiration? How to start with the big picture, have a longer term plan. Like very few companies even aspire for a global market share in whatever they are doing. We are like, I am number 3 in Indore and I'll become number 2 in MP. That's the aspiration, rather than saying that I want a global market share in whatever I am doing. It may take you time, but unless you have that aspiration, the journey you plan for yourself will be inadequate and you will probably not meet with the satisfaction that you so much deserve. The second is brand image with the target supply chain. You need to be your supplier's pet, your customer's pet. They need to say that if I need this product, I will first try to buy from company XYZ and not from anybody else. This doesn't come easy. This requires sometimes some sacrifices, some economic losses, spending hard hours on the shop floor or whatever. But you need to win that confidence. You need to be the favorite, and then you'll have a much smoother supply chain and a higher likelihood of success. Third, of course, is perspiration. So you can have aspiration and you can have brand image and all that stuff. But end of the day, there needs to be perspiration. And that perspiration needs to be a sensible perspiration. Just don't go outside your workplace, stand in the sun and sweat. That's not a very wise thing to do. But by perspiration, I mean the ability to meticulously focus. You just heard Mr. Mariwala say meticulously focus on systems, processes, quality standards, delivery performance. And these are very today things, these are very small things elementally, but together they have a huge effect on your businesses that you are going to do. As a new entrant, particularly if you are entering a new space, you need to understand that even being at par in terms of quality, delivery, etc., that's just the entry ticket. You know, if you go to any of your customers, they will say, you know, everybody has to deliver quality, everybody has to deliver price, and everybody has to deliver on time. So why should I increase my number of vendors? You know, now this is a question which we don't ask. And there, a lot of the narrative, I think again, Mr. Kabra mentioned about, you know, if I can go and tell my stories, saying I am a responsible corporate citizen, I have got sustainable practices, I've got good labor practices. So all these things are the differentiators. They will make the USP for us and make sure that we are more likely to succeed than the next guy. Finally, of course, there is collaboration. Again, we spoke about, I think one of the speakers earlier in the day spoke about collaboration, having a good network of support who will stand by you and help you where you don't have the wherewithal, where you don't have the capability. So continuously building collaborative, the Main to Hum, you know, the Main to Hum story is about collaboration. So that is the other thing that one could think about. The next question I had in my mind was, what will unlock the levers of these growth? So one is, again, Mr. Mariwala spoke about it, which is professionalization. You know, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, sometimes we think, I will do it. You know, it's too much of a pain to teach somebody, give him training and this and that. I will do it. But as you scale up, as you grow, your personal bandwidth becomes a constraint. And I think all the speakers, I think Mr. Sanjay Jain spoke about how much do you do in a day which you shouldn't be doing in the first place. That means, do you have a good professional setup? The second, of course, is the ability to let go. There is an emotional connect. So I could well empathize with what Mr. Mariwala mentioned, that, you know, I would like my son to take the mantle. But, you know, he had the largeness of heart to let go and to say that, okay, there are other more deserving people who can take this position, and he's happy for it. But if he had not, then probably the story would have been different. The third thing which we are not so good at, and I thought I should talk about, is forecast and foresight. You know, we are great at rear view mirror management. You know, all our reviews are last month performance, last quarter performance, last year same quarter performance. It doesn't so much talk about the future. And we have got enough signals and hints which can allow us to first forecast the future, at least the next 3 months, 6 months. You've got an order book, you've got a cash flow cycle, you have a customer bank, you've got products under development which will hit the market. So we need to forecast our future, because once you can forecast the future, you can impact the future that you will get. You can make changes, you can mold yourself to the direction that the forecast is talking about. Once we have the ability to forecast, probably we will develop foresight. You know, somebody mentioned that COVID was not foresightable, but actually there were people who had seen that a COVID-like event will happen. Today, even the ability to develop enough foresight to say that a tsunami or a typhoon or a earthquake is going to happen is significantly better than what it used to be earlier. And this foresighting process is a process in itself. So when we look at a lot of great leaders or great spiritual leaders and so on, they had the ability to give us foresights which were decades ahead of time. Now in our personal day-to-day life or in our workspace, how to bring foresight? Now that is something which comes after forecast. So first you have to have a forecast, and then from there you will be able to get some foresight. Finally, there is the need to understand that there is always a price for the prize. Sometimes we imagine that the prize will come, work hard and prize will come. No, there is a price for that prize. And I'm not talking money. You need a trusted set of people to work with you. You need good training and development. You need to create futures for people. You need to have plant and machinery continuously updated and running shipshape. These are the prices that you have to pay in order to achieve the prize that you are seeking. So that was my set of thought provokers for you to see how we should respond to these in our own individual business circumstances and make the most of it. All along, when you are doing all this, in today's world, we need to remember that there are 4 or 5 things which have to be common themes, whatever be the business you are in. The first is diversity. The day of the alpha male is over, although it doesn't look like it, because so far you have had only males speaking out here. So you ladies, you got to up your game, right? But I personally strongly believe that diversity is a huge enabler of business, and it has a significant impact on the quality of outcomes that a company gets. The second is, now you are no longer living in a cocoon. So corporate citizenship is something, or community affection. You need the community to vote for you. It's like being a local football team, so you need the guys to say, yes, I will come and cheer for this team. So being a good corporate citizen, doing things in your communities, having compliance as a top-line requirement, good governance, as Mr. Mariwala mentioned, as a necessary part of business, being ethical in whatever you do, these things matter. And often purchase decisions are made on the basis of what is your pen picture as a corporate citizen, because products may be at a similar level of performance. Of course, we spoke about sustainability, and sustainability in the sense of environment performance and carbon footprint and things of that nature, where we say that how to be a zero harm company in terms of the environment. The fact that I'm operating doesn't impact anybody anywhere. And finally, customer centricity. If you don't love what you do, if you don't love who you do it for, and if that company or customer or supplier doesn't love what you do and what you do for them, then it's very difficult to be successful in the true sense. And the true joy comes when you can slap each other on the back and say, we did it. Because it's winning supply chains, no longer it is winning companies. So these are some thoughts I thought I would leave with you to reflect upon. But I look forward to this lovely audience to go out and make a difference. I would be, it would be so nice if IMA members are presenting their cases here and saying we made a difference. Thank you very much for a patient hearing.
Thank you very much, sir. So as this is a fireside chat, and so we just wanted to have.
Where's the fire?
So you set the fire actually. So with your these words, I think everybody has got now a different fire in themselves to go and grab these opportunities which are there for our country. So given the current geopolitical situations, energy crisis, energy equations in Europe, world, the Western world facing recession time, all these situations, people looking for alternates and substitutes of Chinese manufacturing. So everybody is looking definitely very differently towards India as the manufacturing, as we have already proved ourselves very differently in the IT and ITES sector. So I know you have actually just touched upon few points on that, but for the entrepreneurs of India, what should be their thought process? What should be that starting point, building, whether it is building up capacity, building up some new product ranges, innovation into this. So I would request you to just throw some light on the start points related to grabbing such opportunity, which will never be, like, which will not be falling every time.
That's a tough one. Let me give it a shot. So some of the stuff I touched upon as having an aspiration and a longer term plan. But sometimes we innovate before innovation is required. The big problem with Indian business is the tendency to do what is called jugaad. When you go global, then the first thing that you need to understand is that a Toyota or Siemens or whoever, they look for consistency. They want every piece to be repeatably the same within the same specification. And these specifications, very, very narrow band kind of specifications. So choose your target markets very carefully. Actually, if you can make one breakthrough, it's easy to replicate because you need to set systems and processes. But for that, we need to understand that, it's key, how to have a 3 sigma performance or a 2 sigma performance versus, just move your distribution curve in terms of consistency of products. Just yesterday, I was talking to somebody from the German industry. And they were saying that, the big problem we have with Indian companies is they make 10 samples, we give them the specification, they make 10 samples, then they pick the best sample and send it to us, and that piece is excellent. But if it is 1 out of 10, then you will never have consistency and you will never be profitable, so you will cut corners. So just a simple thing as an insight that you need to take a run of 300 pieces and say that, okay, 270 pieces were of this standard, and then send you a sample, then you'll ramp up much faster. So the early journey will be a little bit slow, a little bit more expensive. But if you want to play in the big boys club, then you need to do such stuff. Once you have a successful recipe and formula, don't innovate. Don't innovate till you're a settled process. You've got 30% market share or share of wallet of that particular customer. Then collaboratively innovate so that, both of you know where you are going. And that is where that customer affection, the customer centricity is what becomes very, very important when that guy invites you into his planning room, into his design shop, and says, let's work this together to find a better answer. So that is, my summary advice is, do something which with your equipment, capabilities, facilities, raw materials, you're able to do consistently and repeatably. Otherwise, don't go, because you get one chance. You fall on your face, then you have a hell of a time getting up, right?
So the key takeaway, if I take from your this thing, is one is the target market. Second is on the consistency of the product, what you do, and third is a collaborative effort to innovate with the customers. The customer centricity, what you are exactly talking about. So, having said all these things, capacity built up in current state at the country and with the sustainability and quality consciousness. So, what do you think this blend should be? So, a growth versus growth in connection with a sustainable equation. So what do you think should be the key parameters while we actually see towards that? Be it energy efficiency, be it usage of technology to do an automated version.
It's horses for courses. You cannot have a generic answer to this. See, you have to understand that there is an entry ticket. Quality performance is one of them. So quality performance is not negotiable. If you want to be one of the guys, so you have to do training, you have to do equipment upgrade, you have to hire people, you have to do whatever. But you need to have that quality performance. One of the enablers, because you might say that that requires very, very deep pockets and so on and so forth. But one of the problems that we have is very often we are driven opportunistically to design our product mix. Something looks good today, to wo kar liya. Something else comes up tomorrow, to thoda sa wo kar liya. But the ability to say no, to say that I will do only these three things, some particular component or part or whatever it is, and then tenaciously work to become top of the line, is something that would help. Because I have come across so many of us who have decided to do everything under the sun and then do a very average job of all of them. Once you have this focus, then you will also invest in relevant technology. There's good technology, even in like if you look at digitization or automation and things like that, there are so many softwares off the shelf that you can get, which are good. But if you have a zoo of softwares, you have to weld it together and make sure that you get one outcome, right? And if you don't have a steadiness in the business that you're doing, then you may have wasted your energy and your money. So that is that. So once you create that focus, say that, okay, just now, at least for the next 1 year or 2 years, depending on which industry you're in, this is all that is there in my boundary conditions. So there is a term called boundary condition management. So one of the things is, even if somebody is giving me double the margin, I will not talk to that guy in that company. If I can open a separate company, that is a different matter altogether. So this thing, often we think that these problems will go away. So after every sunset, there is a sunrise. But we need to recognize that there will be a sunset every 24 hours, right? And we can't be hopeless or hopeful. Both, either is bad. Saying, I hope that this solves itself. Or I'm hopeless, I'm a victim, saying, what to do? The world is like against me, kind of a thing. So there is a place where to say these are the circumstances, and it will happen every once in a while, some constraint will happen. How do I operate within the boundary conditions of those constraints? So here again, my takeaway is decide very deterministically what you want to do. So there has to be a match between your capability and the market to say that this is what I'm good at and there is a market for this. So I will first focus on that and exploit fully. And then build all the relevant paraphernalia around that rather than in general adding technology or changing technology.
Thank you so much, sir. This is really very enlightening. So coming on to my one subject, while we are having some students sitting here, so any key message you would like for them to think from engineering to management, as you are a combination of both the things at
No,
the best level?
I come from the archaic world, so the things have changed completely. But my message to students is that have fun. Now, how can you make learning fun? That's been the sort of bugbear, I think, for all academics. Why should learning be painful? It can be great amount of fun. And I think today there are a lot of institutions which are experimenting in this area so that it's not learning by rote, it is learning because it's fun, it's learning because it triggers some inner enthusiasm to do things. And so that is this is your time. This is your time to rock, to have a good time, but also have enough learning in the fun. All the students are leaving for lunch, by the way, so I have to close up fast. You guys have fun. Lunch is good. Okay.
Great message for students. I think this is really very important to learn with fun, which makes it really more interactive. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm sure there would be many questions, but I think we are sitting between this thing for lunch break. So I would just have a vote of thanks on this.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being there. And I don't want to delay your lunch. Have a great day and great tomorrow in the conclave.
So as just vote of thanks, sir, your words of wisdom have left profound impact on us, and we are truly grateful for your presence. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.